Welcome to the DealMachine Real Estate Investing Podcast, where we help ambitious W-2 employees who want to leave their job in the next 12 months, earn $1 million per year, drive their dream car, pursue their passions, and take control of their life. We'll actually teach you by interviewing people who have replaced their W-2 income through the proven business model of wholesaling real estate, a way to earn big checks by finding discounted real estate and passing it off to an investor who has money and can give you a $25,000 finder's fee for finding the deal. We're going to give you 2 weekly interviews plus one expert-led masterclass in front of a live Q&A audience of the DealMachine community, people who are trying to get this journey done themselves. My co-host is Ryan Haywood, whose sales job was cut when his commissions were cut in 2019, so he quit. And his wife was pregnant at the time, so he actually took a 14-day wholesaling challenge and made $8,500 and has gone on to do 400 deals since then in St. Joseph, Missouri. I'm David Lecco, and I created a process for finding off-market deals that has helped people close 10,000 deals in all 50 states, which turned into the software platform DealMachine. Hey guys, welcome back to the DealMachine Real Estate Investing Podcast, where if you're in a job that you hate, we can help you build a life you love through the proven business model of wholesaling real estate. And today we've got a very special guest, but before that, if you guys have gotten any value from this podcast, please make sure you're subscribed and leave us a review. It helps us get you more content to get you to financial freedom. So Mark Stubler is our guest, and it's a very special guest because there's not many franchised businesses in this space. And I would have to say Mark's owning the fastest growing franchise with over 70 locations of Joe Homebuyer.
The DealMachine REI Podcast. Everything you need to know to get started in real estate investing.
Mark, it's just outrageous to think about how many deals collectively your business is doing. So if you could tell me that, but then bring it back to when did you do that first deal and walk us through that?
Oh, I appreciate that. And thank you for having me on, Ryan and David. I appreciate it. It's always fun to talk real estate investing, and wholesaling is where I started. So it's fun to dive in, and I'm excited to share. But I get to see it over and over and over with all the new franchisees, right? And their journey and utilizing the Joe Homebuyer system to get, just infiltrated into the market and the opportunity. So it's fun to see that first deal all the time. And so many of our franchisees are new because we're growing at a fast pace, and we're such a new franchise. So it's been awesome. But my first deal was only 8 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I only got in the business 8 years ago, which I think about that because a lot has happened in 8 years, right? We started in Salt Lake market. We captured some pretty good market share pretty quickly. And so we got excited about expanding and doing some of those things. But my first deal was a 4-hour appointment. But let me back up a little bit. So my life before, can I tell you real quick, my life before real estate?
Please.
Yeah, I want to share with you. So I sold fencing and decking products. And I don't know if that sounds glamorous or not. It wasn't that glamorous. But it paid the bills. It was a commission only type deal. But I was there for 10 years, and I had this entrepreneurial blood running through my veins because I had some side projects, a e-commerce business. I had a lawn care business I did for a bit. I flipped a home, not knowing what I was doing. In fact, my first flip went like this. I couldn't sell it, so I had to keep it as a rental. So
I know that feeling. I've been there.
Right? So, but anyway, I worked for this company, and it was good. I made good money, but I realized that somewhere along the way that I wasn't working for myself. I couldn't control my schedule, and it happened when I went from being an outside sales rep to them saying, "Hey, Mark, you got to come into the office, and you got to be here for a half-day shift." And I called it the pencil sharpening position, because it was absolutely worthless. But they were trying to save from hiring a $15 an hour job. And so I'm like, what in the world? And it was literally the gift. I call it the gift because it triggered all this like momentum of, wait a minute, I don't have complete autonomy. I don't work for myself. I've got to get doing my own thing. And that's really how my journey with wholesaling even started, is that trigger of I've got to get out and do my own thing. And thankfully, that's where I partnered with Cody Hoffine. We had remained friends, and it led to the opportunity of he inviting me into learning more about it and jumping right in. It was incredible.
I think there's always a need to feel like we're getting better. And if you're just sharpening pencils every day for a decking company, it's not going to give you that nice feeling.
Bro, it was painful. Isn't it wild how that just little thing of like, hey, yeah, be here for 4 to 6 hours a day. And, if somebody comes in and buys a $10 part, that's your job. And it's like, wow, that's what it's amounted to. So it was enough to move me along.
Now, did you start taking phone calls for wholesaling while you had that job, like while you were at work waiting for those parts?
Yeah, let me share a little bit about that. So I only had, I'll get pretty specific. I only had, a few $1,000s in the bank, and I knew I wanted to, try this. So I finished my basement, kind of while this was transpiring. I finished my basement, put renters in my basement. In Utah, we have basements. So I put a 2-bedroom, laundry room, everything in my basement, could collect a lot on rent. I sold our family boat, told my family, give me 1 year. I've got to put money in the bank, and I've got to try this new real estate idea. And it took me about 6 months of doing both jobs, with renters in my basement, selling a few things, putting cash in the bank. It took me about 6 months of doing, starting the marketing, talking to sellers, and selling fencing and decking. I did get out of sharpening pencils, though, because I went to the owner, and I'd been there for 10 years. I was the top producer. And I said, look, I can't do it. It's not in my DNA. Yeah. I can't produce. And I think I made enough of a stink that they forgave me of that position. And anyway, I was able to do both for about 6 months.
Amazing. So how much did you end up making on that first deal? Do you remember?
$10,000. And what I know now, I probably left a lot of money on the table. But yeah, about $10,000.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I've learned a lot about the disposition process. I just called one person and said, you want this? And they said yes, and they bought it. And so I left money on the table, meaning I didn't know what I had. I didn't know what it was worth.
Got it.
Yeah.
So you just said dispositions, and I don't know if everyone here even knows what that means. Could you maybe explain what wholesaling is to somebody who's never heard of this before?
Yeah, certainly. So wholesaling is the process of assigning a purchase agreement. So you sit down with the seller, and discuss a price for the property, put together a legitimate buy and sell agreement, purchase to it states their address, their, the purchase price, the due diligence time frame, terms of any terms that you've established. I mean, it's a legitimate purchase agreement, and you have the ability, if it's assignable, and that would be a clause in that agreement, to sell the rights to that contract for that property to somebody else. And you can make a fee just by connecting A and C together, C being the end buyer, U or B kind of the connector. Now, you have to be careful. I'll use this as an opportunity to teach a very important lesson. If you are selling the property when all you have is a purchase agreement, you're actually acting like an agent. You need to be careful. You need to sell just what you have interest in, and that's the purchase agreement. So you can technically only sell paper, the right to buy the home. You're not selling the home.
Got it. Yeah. What's the nuance there? If you're going to sell it to somebody, they're going to want to see it, right? So how do you differentiate that?
Well, it's important that they realize, hey, I have interest in the property. It's a viable interest because I do have a legitimate purchase agreement with the seller, which gives me the ability to assign this purchase agreement to you for, whatever price I want. And what that means is if I put a property under contract for $100,000, I can offer it to anybody at whatever price they deem it, whatever value they put associate to it. So if they're willing to pay $110,000, that means I make $10,000 through that transaction. But it needs to be, again, they may want to see it. I can do my own personal inspection, and they can tag along for that inspection if they'd like. But I can't do showings. I can't act like a realtor. So I'm very careful in that distinction. Because all I have rights to is the purchase agreement, and I can sell the rights to buying that home.
Okay, makes sense. So that way, if you actually get a really good deal and they think it's worth $150,000, now that's how you make a $50,000 assignment fee.
That is right.
And so what you're saying is you only called one person. So one person thought it was worth 110, but now what you're saying is what you know now is if you talk to a lot of people, you could have found somebody that thought it was worth 120.
That's right. That's exactly how it works. Yes.
Okay, gotcha. So
don't you wish you had a time machine just to go back and make a couple quick adjustments
Right
on some of those other deals.
I love that or hate that comment, because the truth is we've got those rentals we wish would have kept, those investments. Yeah. What is it? Back to the Future. If we had his almanac for real estate, we'd be in good shape.
Yeah.
Are your listeners, David and Ryan, are your listeners too young to appreciate the almanac of Back to the Future content?
I hope not.
I think they might.
I really hope not. Oh, man.
Hey, but this is a challenge for them to get.
Go watch Back to the Future. Yeah,
Right.
Best movie ever.
That's right.
And that's the first movie recommendation on the Deal Machine podcast.
Oh, wow. There we go.
And a very unassuming. I don't recommend very many movies, so the odds of that happening, this must be destiny. You need to go watch that movie.
Agreed.
Yep. Let's do it. Back to the Future.
All right. So
Episode, what is our episode?
I believe this will be 57.
Okay, 57 should be and have some reference to Back to the Future in the advertisement.
All right. Got it.
People need to know.
Mark, when did you learn that about dispositions? Because you just explained your first deal, tell me what happened next.
Well, over time, you start to realize that the hardest part of real estate is finding the deal, right? The investing part is finding the deal. And, I'll use this as a quick opportunity to say that if you're getting into wholesaling, you really got to go in with the mindset of I'm an investor, meaning that I am going to do what I say to the seller. I'm going to represent my intentions correctly. But you have to go in with an investor mindset of I'm a buyer. I'm looking for, if it's the right deal, I'll keep it as a rental. If it's the right deal, I'll fix it up or wholesale it or whatever, or I might assign it. But through that process of just, learning and growing, I realized, okay, it's hard to find these deals. I want to be as resourceful as possible to really capture as much revenue for my efforts. And sometimes that's wholesaling. Sometimes that's a rehab. Sometimes that's a wholesale, just buying it and putting it on the market. And sometimes that's variations of things, keeping it as a rental or whatever. So it's just putting on that cap of I'm an investor. I'm a big tab player now. I'm in the game, and I've got to capture as much revenue as possible and exploring all those options. And that includes with multiple eyeballs, having lots of people look at it versus just allowing one person to make an offer and selling yourself short, because oftentimes they're getting a sweetheart of a deal if you set the price, or if you just predetermine if you set the price, or you don't have a lot of eyeballs kind of bidding for it type thing.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
So you said the hardest thing is actually finding the deal. How did you say how you found this first deal?
Direct mail. Actually, I pulled a tax delinquent list. So very specifically, that's the list I pulled. I had a virtual assistant organize it in a format that could be sent over to the mail house. It was blasted off to the mail house, sent out, and I got a few phone calls and set up an appointment and went out. And I didn't get a ton of phone calls, but I got just enough to meet with these sellers and found somebody that could benefit from the services I was providing.
Got it. Okay, so you took the tax delinquent list. Did your mail that you sent say anything about being tax delinquent, or did it just say you could buy their house quickly?
It was very simple, just that I'm interested in their property at 123 Main Street, and I'd be interested in making a cash offer to buy their home.
Beautiful.
That's right.
And you said the appointment took 4 hours, which does seem kind of on the long side. What was going on there?
So we met, and husband and wife, townhome type property, and they wanted to sell. They needed to sell, and we were feeling good about things. But they're like, the wife said, "Hey, I really run everything past my brother. I'd really like his involvement." So we said, "Well, great, let's get him involved. Have him swing by." And she's like, "Well, he didn't answer the phone." And I said, "Well, hey, I need to run to the grocery store. Let me go tackle a few things. I'll be back in 15, 30 minutes. Give you a chance to think on things and see if you can get a hold of your brother." And I came back after that was 2.5 hours. I came back, and as I was kind of coming to the door, I realized, they had called me, left a voicemail. Well, when I knocked, they were a little surprised to see me, like, "Oh, we tried calling you. I think we just want to, think on it for a minute." And I'm like, "Well, I'm here. Can we just, ask a few more questions of you, visit for a moment?" And luckily, the stars aligned. Brother showed up just shortly thereafter, and he felt comfortable with the proposal, and gave them the blessing that this is a good thing for you, and you need to move on and get out of the property. But by the time all that came together, and it was just, I probably, being my first appointment, didn't exude a ton of confidence. And, the best thing we can do for our sellers is provide them certainty that I'm capable, certainty that I'm honest and going to keep my commitments. So I was probably a little bit lacking in those areas, not from an honesty or commitment, but from a, hey, this guy is capable perspective, right? And so it just took me a little bit longer to build that connection and reassurance that they needed, that I had their best intentions in mind, and I was going to do what I was going to said I was doing. So it took 4 hours, though, between the back and forth.
So you had a family member, you said it was a brother that came mid-appointment?
That's right.
So you kind of had to start over when that happens, right?
How did you adjust to that? Did you have to go back and re-explain everything that you guys have talked about? What did that look like?
I'll say this. If you're an existing wholesaler or investor and you're looking for an acquisition manager, somebody to meet with families, go to somebody that's been in a lot of in-home appointments, so direct to consumer. So I've been in thousands and thousands of homes over 10 years. And I become very comfortable with that. Presenting a product for a price, now I was presenting a service for a price in essence. So I was extremely comfortable. If you're new into this and this is something you're going to do yourself, take a summer and knock on doors, sell pest control, alarms, solar, whatever it is, it will do wonders for you. You need repetition. You need lots of opportunities. And so when he sat down, it was just what I was used to doing. Sure, the product had changed, but the comfortability was there. And sincerely, I like, and that's one of the more enjoyable aspects of this business for me, is engaging with people. I'm not even an extreme extrovert. In fact, on personality behavior trait assessments, I'm actually slightly on the introvert side, but I really get fulfillment in learning about people and engaging in conversation. And so it was natural. He sat down, we started over, but I was able to learn, why he was kind of their confidant and why they trusted him, and we were able to make that connection, and he was able to trust the process, and he helped the process move on and get the deal done.
Please open up your podcast app right now and leave us a review and let us know what you thought of this episode. It means so much because the reviews help us get in front of more people. And the more people we can get in front of, the more we can help them achieve financial freedom. And we also get more energy to put more content out like this to help you. So by leaving us a review, it will give you more content to come to help you along in your journey. Thank you so much. Amazing. I selfishly want to ask you about a situation I'm encountering. So far, nobody's known the answer, so don't feel bad if you don't, but it's kind of funny. When I was setting up to record a podcast with Ryan 2 days ago, I got a call that I took, and it was a neighbor, and he said, you've got to actually buy this house right next door. The guy died a year and a half ago. He had no heirs. He had no children. He had no wife. And his grass cutting guy has totally moved in, and they've even been paying the tax bill on this house that has no mortgage that's worth $180,000. But he said, they're complete jerks. He's like, I don't want them in there as neighbors. They can't possibly just keep living in there like this. I don't want them there. And he's like, you have to buy this house. So I was like, man, I don't even know where to start. I looked up the guy's obituary. I did see that the owner on the tax record is also somebody who passed away, but I'm not really sure even where to go next. I sent the actual house to my normal title company. I was like, hey, can you guys just research this title for me? But they just kind of were confused. They're like, you don't have it under contract. Why are we doing that? And so I actually engaged another attorney, and he also didn't know what to do. What you got any ideas, Mark?
I actually think I might have the answer.
What's the answer?
You can actually file probate in behalf of the owner. I've heard of this. I've only heard of it once. I haven't done it. But recently I was on a call with a gentleman that said, you can actually file probate when they don't have heirs, and you can actually file probate to be the heir of the property. And if obviously you'd have to pay off any liens or encumbrances or things like that. But I actually believe it's a probate process, and because he doesn't have any other heirs, you're as entitled to it as anybody else.
Okay, got it. So would I find a probate specific attorney, not necessarily a real estate attorney?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
I would look for a probate specific. Now, yes, I'd look for a probate specific attorney. If they know real estate, it's going to go a lot smoother. What market is it in? What part?
Indianapolis.
Okay, I don't know Indianapolis. I know that this can happen in Texas, so it'd be interesting to see what you learn. But I had somebody share with me recently that there's actually just a way to try to, there's people that try to find these type of properties where people pass away with no heirs and they just kind of sit vacant. And when you find these vacant properties, you can actually file probate to become, the executor of that estate. And the logistics of what you owe the counties and taxes, I don't know, but yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, interesting. You're going to have to chase back with me and let me know how that goes. That's interesting.
I will. The phone call was epic too. He's like very, very animated character. He's like, I got a story for you. And I was recording it. So Ryan heard it.
Yeah, it was great. It was
The
great.
lawn care guy. Hey, you got to give kudos to the guy that just inherits the home, moves in.
Man,
starts
he's been
paying
living
the
rent
taxes
free.
like it's his. I love
Yeah.
this.
You do got to give
I
it.
wonder if he can stake any claim to that. Like, could he say, man, I've been living here for, however many years, it's mine now.
And I think there might be that. That's actually one of the struggles. I think paying the taxes is probably in his best interest to prove that he's now the owner. So that might be your struggle.
It's only been a year though. So that can't be the time frame needed, right? It has to be longer than that.
Let's go with that. I'm feeling the same as you. I'm thinking it has to be longer than that.
Okay.
Yeah, should be.
I'll pay his taxes for the next 5 years right now. And that way he can.
That's right.
All right, Mark. Well, so you did a first deal 8 years ago. This has got to be like the most wild success swing that I've heard since Ryan Haywood, right? Who went from doing one deal to 400 in about 5 years. So can you fill in like any more gaps there for us on like why you started Joe Homebuyer, the franchise, with amazing, branding? I love your shirt that you've got on today. It just feels like such a grown up way of doing the business.
Well, I appreciate that. So Cody Hoffman and I started in Utah. We were getting some uncharacteristically good, what we felt good market share, traction, and really excited about the business. And somewhere along the way, we realized we'd like to expand into multiple markets. We actually learned, believe it or not, how to not do it when we tried to expand into Indiana, when we didn't have home base infrastructure as tight as it should be. And we actually were going into Indiana because one of our competitors was in Utah and Indiana. We're like, well, we don't know anything else about the rest of the country. Let's just follow him because we're doing well in Utah against him. Let's doing well in Indiana. And it was a horrible idea. It was an immature business move. And we didn't really lose money, but we lost traction in Utah. And as a result, we lost money, right? We lost focus. And so we're, having that experience under our belt we wanted to expand, but what not to do. You need to have home base covered. And but we realized that with a partner that we were associated with, that franchising would be an interesting way to do it. The model with franchising is that the franchisor doesn't benefit unless the franchisees are getting results. If their businesses are thriving, so is the franchisor. So there's really a cohesive, a harmonious relationship in the sense that the franchisor's motivation is their success. And that became, and I wanted to partner with people. I didn't want to have to put boots in the ground in multiple markets and just trust that they were doing what we asked them to do. I wanted to partner with people that were as invested in their success as I was, or more invested, that it was a harmonious relationship. So that's why, and then if I'm being honest, there was only one other company out there doing franchising. And I thought, hey, if they can do it, we can do it, and we can do it better. And we felt like we have some innovative marketing, innovative acquisition processes. And we thought, we want to share this with the world. We want to expand through strategic partners, through franchising. We can do what this other franchise system's doing, and we can do it better. And our growth is saying that we're a healthy competitor of theirs, and or they're a healthy competitor of ours, and we plan to be the household name for home buying.
That's amazing, dude. That's so amazing.
Love that.
What would be a reason why somebody would do and buy a franchise for Joe Homebuyer instead of doing something on their own?
Well, you have a strategic partner. Today you spend $25,000 to join a strategic mastermind. You'll pay a little bit more than that to be a Joe Homebuyer franchise, but you're partners for life, right? In the sense that all the systems and processes, best techniques, and you're part of a community. You get the mastermind effect, but you also get the ongoing partnership. You get our interest in your business to succeed. I've had a dozen phone calls this week with franchisees in helping them evaluate their key, indicator metrics. We call it our LOAC. We're seeing their leads, opportunities, appointments, and contracts, and we're tracking it, and we understand the conversion ratios that are critical to the company's success. And we share software so we can We can help them navigate their business. They have a trusted partner that has spent a lot more money than them, a lot more time. We understand multiple marketplaces. So it just fast tracks their success for the fraction of what another partnership would cost them, 50% or whatever. We're just a fraction of that. And so, it just becomes a way for them to grow their business, scale their business in an expedited fashion.
Got it. Okay, so if they're going to spend a lot of money on coaching or join some type of mastermind, they could consider buying a franchise like Joe Homebuyer, right? That's going to give them a partner for life. And you guys are going to break down some innovative marketing strategies for them, or do you do it for them?
Both. And it gets even better. Because we aggregate data, get this. I'm in how many markets, right? Call me 25 markets, multiple in some markets. So I know what marketing pieces are working. I know, and when I say I know, the data is always being captured and it's growing. But that becomes as powerful as anything. So our franchisees are helping each other with what marketing piece, what messaging, what time frame, who to connect with. So as we aggregate data, our systems continue to get better and better, and so does the efforts of marketing. They just continually improve. So sure, you get the community, the software, the how-to, but I'd hope to think that they're going to benefit from the ongoing aggregated data that just propels their business forward with what to do and when to do it.
100%. And from somebody who's seen the first deal over and over again, who's really hands-on with somebody who's just bought a franchise, tell me about the mindset of somebody. Like, what is the mindset that it takes to be successful?
The word tenacity comes to mind because this business is super simple. It really is. You're just connecting, with a human, talking about the property. If you can be good at just relationships and investing time with people, it can be a really enjoyable business. It's not easy though. And when I say it's not easy, it is a roller coaster. We've been in operation in Utah for 8 years, and we'll have weeks and months that are less than desirable in terms of what our projections are, and then the next month we'll have a historic month 8 years in. It's just the ebbs and flows, and you have to be able to navigate the ups and downs, just the ebbs and flows. And then the heartbreak occasionally, right? You get a deal all the way to the finish line, you find out that the lawn care guy moved in and he has rights to the property because he paid the taxes. I mean, whatever the crazy scenarios are in our space, but tenacity is the one that comes to mind. Ironically, David, Ryan, a lot of our franchisees are coming with a little bit of wholesaling experience. I've done 10 deals, I've done 50 deals or whatever it is. I now want to scale my business because I'm not quite getting the results that I want. I'm not taking it to the next level. And that's where we shine, is helping them build the systems and processes so that they can build their business to the next level.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, we've arrived at the part of the episode where we ask you these 4 rapid fire questions. We call it the guilt-free profit section because when we started our business, there were aspects where we kind of felt guilty making this kind of money. And so these are just 4 questions. And I'm going to start us off. Do you think everybody should be an entrepreneur, Mark? Do you think everybody can be an entrepreneur that wants to be?
I think anybody that wants to be should. There's so much fulfillment that comes from it. It is so enjoyable for entrepreneurship to demand growth in the individual. You have to become a better leader to survive. So it demands a lot of you. And that's what I'd wish for anybody because I love the journey that it's put me on. It's not for everybody, but those that want it, it will challenge you to a whole new level, and it's a beautiful thing.
That's right. Ryan, do you have any questions?
Yeah. So, let's piggyback on that. Is the entrepreneur lifestyle is it sustainable? Is that something that can hold on long term?
When you say sustainable, do you mean, is it for...
First of all, how many hours are you working, Mark?
There we go. Yeah.
How many hours are you working right now?
Yeah, I've never been less than a 50-hour work week guy, but I'll tell you, if I'm working 50 plus hours, I'm never 100, I'm never 60 or, I'm always over 40. There's no question about that. But I play a lot too. I'll go on, full weeks at a time. But even while I'm gone, let's be honest, I'll work, 2 to 3 hours a day just between text and emails and, quick calls here and there. But I'll disconnect. I'm pretty good. I'll go on 3 or 4 or 5 times a year where I'm gone for a full week or more. That's my way of, working really hard and then, playing hard as well.
Okay, last one. What are the rules when answering your side hustle phone calls? while you're at your 9-to-5 job.
What are the rules?
Yeah.
Like whenever you have a side hustle and you're working that 9 to 5 and you're supposed to be working, but you get in your side hustle.
Oh, because these are the guilt-free. Okay, so I've got my 9 to 5. I got an obligation to my boss. What are the rules?
Yep.
You need to. The truth is, I'm an employer, right? I want those that are working for me to give me an honest effort. But I want them to accomplish what's important to them as well. The rules are you owe a full 9 to 5. If that's what you're getting paid for, you owe them a full 9 to 5. So for you to do a side hustle, I believe it needs to be on your break, your lunch hour, and before and after work hours, because you're going to expect the same when you build your team and hire people. You're going to want them to give you honest effort.
True. Yep.
Awesome. Great answers, Mark. And that is the episode, everyone. Mark, where's the best place that they can follow you? Where do you want to send people?
Yes, please follow, if you want to learn more about Joe Homebuyer, go to just joehomebuyerfranchise.com. You'll find us at Joe Homebuyer as well. You'll Google us. Would love to connect with you there. But again, Mark Stubler, you can find me on Facebook. I'm not big into the Instagram stuff, which is probably surprising for your listeners, but or Instagram or anything like that. That's Cody Hoffein's job. So you follow Cody as well.